Welcome to In Studio. We are on site today at Bay Path University. I'm so excited because today is International Women's Day and I have a great crew of women with me here for our On the Move forum. So welcome, and I'd like to hear from our keynote speaker today about how she feels International Women's Day.
Hi Janine, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited and I look forward to the women's movement in this country being more involved in the plight of women around the world. And I hope that maybe today here at Bay Path we'll turn our eyes on the terrible plight and misery of millions and billions of women.
Yes,
Thank
and that's
you.
so what we are here for.
Yes.
And I'm now going to pass this to Melina Rudman.
Hi, my name is Melina Rudman. I'm the Director of Well and Community Life here at Bay Path University. I'm so excited to be here on International Women's Day for our On the Move forum. The program that I administer is all about empowering women to be learners and leaders in the world, and what a perfect fit. So this is the best way I can think to spend such a wonderful day.
I'm Robin Saunders, and I'm the Director of the Communications and Information Management Programs at Bay Path University. And I'm excited because we need more women in IT, and as the field grows, women will be on the move.
Hi, I'm Lori Rosner. I'm the chair of the undergraduate traditional business programs. I'm super excited to be here today. Thank you very much. And the On the Move started very early this morning in my classroom, in the branding class, where we had an international guest speaker, and we were talking about the global issues and how women are on today's agenda and on the move.
Hi, my name is Camilla Avant, and I'm the president of NAMIC New England, and I'm excited to be here on International Women's Day. Here at NAMIC, we are one of the big supporters for promoting diversity and inclusion, and also in the media business, and to also have more diversity and inclusion in the industry, including media, television, cable, and film. And we want to make sure that women are not only in the entry level or in middle management, but also in the C-suite.
Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us, and I'll look forward to how this wonderful show unfolds, folks, so stay tuned. More to come. All right. And we gladly accept. Shall we take a picture? Oh.
We should all.
Yes, we should all.
You to let you know how powerful women are. I am so thankful to Bay Path for inviting me here. You know, I'm standing in my aunt's stead, and I just want to bring you news from the family that they're very excited about this. So, I just spent an hour and a half with students from Bay Path, and they asked me some wonderful, glorious questions. Now, first of all, a little bit about me. I'm not a great public speaker. I am not Oprah. Okay, but aside from that, what you get here in this person is passion. And that's what Auntie Rosa had. Anybody seen any interviews with Auntie Rosa? I mean, anybody? I mean, I've sat, and as I travel across the country, when people hear Auntie Rosa talking, they're like, oh, no way, no way. From her hair, to her hat, to her shoes. Listen, lady power, the power that women generate across this country. We can take this country back and make these, excuse me, men folk, these men act right. This is what, now is not the time to be quiet. We don't need to be silent. We need to teach our daughters, our granddaughters, that this stuff has got to stop. And thank you, Bay Path, for giving me the opportunity to stand before you and talk about this. You know, if you want to see me, because I'm very emotional and passionate about this thing, that we have let it go on too far. Okay? Anybody in agreement with me? Let us start at Bay Path. Let us show the country how you are supposed to treat women, and that we have real power, and we don't have to wait around for somebody to give us permission. Power! I stand in solidarity with all my sisters all over the world. I'm I'm going to take Bay Path to Germany when I leave here next month, and trust me, they're going to hear from Bay Path students, they're going to hear from my students, and we will take over this thing. I have a big mouth, and I will let the rest of the world know what is going on here in this country. Okay, power! Oh, get my bug.
I'm ERA, also known as Era McCarthy. And first off, I just want to thank you all so much. I am so privileged to be here. This is my first time being at a celebration for the conference. But I want to tell you that I celebrate this every day. Now, some of you might have an article from my magazine on the table. Having this name has meant so much to me. There's been a lot of struggles in my life, a lot of different things, and yet never once, not even for a second, did I feel like I was less than a man. Not ever. Right now I'm the CEO of Aroundus Corporation. We're doing some really cool things. I'm going to read something to you from The Spirit of Houston, Diana Mara Henry's book, and then I want to just give you a really brief synopsis of what I'm doing now because I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So thank you for your time ahead of time. Okay, this is A New Era, a report on Era McCarthy from page 150 of The Spirit of Houston. ERA McCarthy was born shortly after her mother returned home to Phoenix, Arizona from the Houston Conference, which she attended as a delegate even though she was having labor pains. There are two reasons I named my baby girl Era, explained Judy McCarthy. One is for our amendment, since ERA is the most important issue in our fight for true equality for all. And the second is because of the concept which arose out of the Houston Conference, the concept that it heralded the beginning of a new era for women. Delegate McCarthy, a 31-year-old Apache Indian and the mother of 6 children, has plans for a new life for herself too. She is enrolled as a criminal justice major in Arizona State University and hopes to enter law school. I have been helping mature women re-enter education and the job force via the Association of Women's Active Return to Education, AWARE, and the Department of Economic Security Welfare Office, she told the National Commission. As a welfare recipient, I am trying to get off the welfare merry-go-round, and I understand many of the problems facing other women in my position. I am very aware of what it means to be an ethnic minority, a divorced mother, a mature college student, and on a limited income. But I know, as we all do, that there can be a fuller life for all of us and our families. That is why I support the National Plan of Action and the Equal Rights Amendment. So let me fast forward for you. My mother was off of welfare very shortly after that. My mother is a force of nature. She has pneumonia or else she would be here. You guys would love her. She is just amazing. But because of who she is and how she is, she changed my father. I heard he used to be like the worst chauvinist. I've never seen it. Never. All I heard from the time I could toddle around was that I could do anything. I could be anything, and that my mom was amazing and I was going to be just like her. That's all I ever heard. So thank goodness, right? I do have a college degree. I actually have a few of them. I have a husband. He's amazing. We have that 50-50 partnership that everybody talks about. He's been taking care of the baby for me today. We have a technology company. We do immersive virtual reality. We do a lot of things with like HoloLens, cutting edge technology. What we're doing right now is in Little Trinidad, Colorado, tiny little town, right? Population I think is 10,000. We're going to be building a museum, an American history museum. It's all about the American dream, achieving it, the things that were built, ingenuity. One of our main attractions is about Katherine Bates. Katherine Bates, for those of you who don't know, wrote America the Beautiful. She was a 33-year-old college professor, and she was taking a little sabbatical, and she went to the top of Pikes Peak. She had went to a bunch of other places as well, but she was inspired to write America the Beautiful. When she wrote America the Beautiful, she wasn't allowed to vote. A lot of people didn't know that. When she wrote America the Beautiful, she was at college at a time when in the newspaper they still said that women who went to the universities were going to become insane. Her mother was a single working mother because her father had passed away. She did not come from a financially abled family. So the fact that she even made it to the university and became a professor is amazing. So what happens in this experience that we're building and in this museum is we get to spend time with Katherine Bates. She's going to be a hologram. She's going to talk to us. We're going to learn about her life. We're going to learn about America the Beautiful. But we also have several other exhibits, including women of the early automotive industry. There's a lot of things that women invented, like turning signals, brake lights. The lines that we use for the lanes of traffic were all created by women. And most people don't know that. So, and next year, we're supposed to be opening in January of 2018. We're going to have a museum in Trinidad, Colorado, and some of our people are going to be men because they did a lot of awesome things too. But I think what's really cool about our museum is there's probably 70% of our exhibits are featuring women. So, thank you guys so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
And as Billie Jean King wrote on the occasion of the exhibit of my work at the 35th anniversary of the conference 5 years ago, history is a call to action, which is why Janine gathered us here today to revision the conference in its 40th anniversary year. When I realized that I was following Professor Laura Lovett and her remarks about Houston, I must admit I was intimidated. Laura has done me the honor of asking me for several years now to speak about the conference in her course on American women's history at UMass Amherst, and now I've had the pleasure of hearing her do so. In order not to duplicate her brief and cogent synopsis, I decided to speak to you today about what no one else really can, and that is how it came to be and what it was to be the official photographer at Houston. And from there, to celebrating in photographs and my words and the words of others who were there, the themes of and the reality of Houston, 1977, and a takeaway for you here today, 40 years later. Let's go back to when photography was a life choice and a profession. I started out after college as a researcher for NBC News, where my brilliant friend from college also worked that summer of 1969. This is a photograph from 1969. I call it my first feminist photograph. And I hope that you have never seen this poster and never will again. We would meet in the ladies' room at NBC and cry in the stalls about how the only women we saw getting ahead at the network were either sleeping their way up or agreeing to be sent to cover the war in Vietnam. I moved on to be a general assignment reporter at the Staten Island Advance, where 2 negative experiences bracketed a discovery that makes me as proud as anything I have done since. First, I discovered that I could slant my reporting to achieve my politically disparaging aims by simply quoting my intended victims to make them look as ugly as I thought at the time they were. Second, I was told not to write a story quoting a young vet who had returned from Cambodia because his mother did not want the young man, who was not in his right mind, to speak, as he was medicated when he spoke to me from his bed of pain at the Brooklyn VA hospital. I quit to go to Tennessee and support Senator Al Gore Sr. in his last and unsuccessful bid to retain his seat. In between, I came to write about the pioneering photographer Alice Austen. Does anyone know Alice Austen's work? My article helped save her historic home and led to 15 years of lobbying successfully to save it, so that it is now a historic house museum in the New York City Park System at the foot of the Verrazzano Narrows Bridge. So despite the male-centered and male-dominated events of those years, my proudest contribution was to honor and safeguard and create for the work of another woman, Alice Austen, who will inspire and teach by her gender-bending art and divergent life. Why am I detailing all of this to you today? It's because I believe these experiences represent some of the challenges and differences you may be facing as you proceed on your path amid the political upheaval that surrounds us today. These are photographs in the Women's Pentagon Action, 1980. Like you, I came of age in a time of advocacy While I was in middle school, civil rights marchers were turning up dead along the path of the march. While I was in college, students were being killed or bludgeoned on college campuses. Today, the women I know who went to DC around the time of the new administration taking office say they felt incredibly safe there. Ask me, if you like, to describe what I learned translating at an asylum hearing for a female slave from Mauritania. I am often asked what I would be photographing if I were still working today. If I were photographing today, I would go where women are not safe, to ride with them in their illicit sorties in their Mercedes in the deserts of Saudi Arabia, to go out to cafes in the no-go zones where police no longer show up in Paris and Malmo, where women are not welcome in public meeting places, to the shelters in Pakistan, housing preteens whose noses are cut off by their aging husbands before they were divorced by a 3 times repeated incantation, to where women are reading Lolita in Tehran. When will feminists here in the US feel safe enough to do something for these sisters in other parts of the world, as they did in 1979, when I photographed feminist leaders in solidarity with the women of Iran? Back to 1972, and along came Bella Abzug. I heard her voice, as you did today, probably in my darkroom on WBAI, the Pacifica radio station to which my set was permanently locked, and my idea of what a woman could be and do was changed forever. Her voice was powerful, her raspy bellow betraying every constricted definition of what a nice girl's voice should be. Girls didn't grow up to be women in those days, before Ms. gave women a position independent of their marital status. I had to see her. And so I went to her press conference, and she used my photographs for her campaign to keep her congressional seat. And from then on, I was her campaign photographer, and she paid me. And the photographer she hired, when she became the presiding officer as official photographer for the National Commission for the Observance of International Women's Year that convened the first National Women's Conference in Houston, and she hired me before that to photograph the New York State Women's Meeting in Albany. And you know, before the conference in Houston, meetings were held in all 50 states and the territories. I used to mention being official photographer to people who did not fully comprehend the vastness of the enterprise. Meetings in all 50 states, US territories like Puerto Rico, DC, Guam, American Samoa, to vote on the platform and delegates to Houston. No one could comprehend that there were 150,000 people involved in the effort, and that it was a federally funded initiative voted into law by Congress and signed by President Ford. My official press pass qualified me for total access behind the scenes at planning meetings and tours of the convention hall with commissioners before the conference, and enabled me to stay in the hall for hours on end, unlike the other wonderful photographers who also covered the conference, like Betty Lane and Ellen Schub, who were also there to tell the story. They had access for 20 minutes only at a time before having to leave the hall and turn their press pass over to another member. I got my press pass the day before the conference at the Hyatt Hotel, where thousands of delegates could not claim their rooms because a convention of Texas oil men decided to resist these uppity women's efforts and refused to vacate their rooms until late in the day. The next day came the 2,600-mile relay from Seneca Falls, New York, that brought the torch from the site of the Women's Suffrage Convention of 1848 to the Convention Center. The torch was carried by Sylvia Ortiz, Peggy Cockernott, and Michelle Searcy, although only Peggy was pictured on the cover of Time magazine. We know Peggy is the woman in the middle, right? I know you get how the media is skewed to accepted tastes. Let's lobby Time to reshoot that photo. Inside the convention hall, the torch was raised aloft by the wives of 3 presidents, Lady Bird Johnson, Betty Ford, and Rosalind Carter, with Bella Abzug. Gloria Scott gavelled the conference open with Susan B. Anthony's gavel, and Barbara Jordan, Congresswoman from Texas, gave the keynote address. At last, wrote Gloria Steinem, There were enough minority women, more than a third of the delegates, to have a strong voice. Not only black women, but Hispanic women, Asian American women, American Indian women, and many more. Judy McCarthy, Apache delegate from Arizona, was pregnant at the conference, but baby ERA was born in time to come to the White House when the report was delivered to President Carter. And you've had the pleasure of meeting her here today. According to Joe Freeman's recollection shared in 2012, there were so many minority women chosen to represent New York State at the meeting in Albany that Betty Friedan, who desperately wanted to go, that's the author of The Feminine Mystique, was chosen afterward to represent the tiny minority of white middle-class women from that state. But Mississippi sent an all-male delegation. Diversity was not only racial, but political. How different is that from today, when no one knows anyone who voted Republican? At Houston, there were women who stood in mourning when the pro-choice plank was passed, although the Republican Party had until that time been pro-choice, as it had stood for racial equality since Abraham Lincoln promulgated the Emancipation Proclamation more than 100 years before. 1977 marked a turning point as Phyllis Schlafly took up the leadership of a new conservative ethos. One that would drum Republicans like Mary Crisp, then chair of the Republican Party, out of her position a year later when President Carter fired Bella from her position as Women's Issues Advisor at the White House. And Crisp and half of the commission quit in protest. Quoting Gloria again, Houston also symbolized an end to much of the split between the younger or more radical feminists who had come out of the left and who mistrusted efforts inside the system, and those reformers or older, more conservative women who mistrusted efforts to work outside the system. If one person made that bonding possible, it was probably Bella Abzug. She writes, as one of the few American political leaders to rise through social movements, not through political party structures, she had gained trust and colleagues on both sides. Houston was the result of hard work of many thousands of women, but Bella Abzug may be the one person without whom there would have been no such event. And I'm happy that I was there to photograph it. As you consider issues today around your tables, and I've put on the table some of the planks that were part of the National Plan of Action, so you can see what the issues were then, how they were being addressed, and how you want to position your advocacy today. How far have we come on the issues? And how far have we come on tolerance, diversity, and willingness to listen to each other? Perhaps today you will discover 5 other women who think as you do, and listen to and respect and embrace one who doesn't. As Gloria wrote in the introduction to What Women Want, and that's a popularized version of the official document, before Houston, I still did not know that women as a group could be competent, courageous, and loyal to each other, that we could conduct large, complex events and honor each other's diversity, and that we could literally make a history that was our own. Rita Elway Brogan, who is in the dark sweater on the right here, the youngest commissioner at Houston, asked in 2012, what passion will inspire women to reach across their differences to achieve a greater good? Like Gloria, I believe we can make history our own. Starting here at Bay Path 2017, I hope, as she wrote of the first National Women's Conference, that lessons will not be lost, that lesson will not be lost, but carried into the future. Thank you.
Hi, welcome back to In Studio with Janine Fondon. My name's Rachel Karkoff. I'm the Women on the Street reporter here at the On the Move Forum at Bay Path University. I'm here with student Frances Moore. Frances, how was your experience this afternoon?
It was amazing. I feel so inspired today. All the speakers were great. I got lots of good information. I feel like I can just get up and go and do anything.
That's awesome. That's really great to hear. Was there a specific quote or a piece of feedback that you heard in your small group or within the speeches that especially touched you?
Actually, I can't remember who said it, but the one thing that they said was it takes courage to be the only person in your family to get an education and go to college, and I am, and I didn't even think of it that way. So that kind of stood out for me and made me feel really good.
That's really wonderful, Frances. Congratulations for being the first person in your family to go to college. That's a huge, huge opportunity and wonderful thing. So thanks so much for taking some time to talk to me.
Thank you. Take care.
Well, it's great to be in studio as we reflect on the wonderful day we had in honor of National Women's Day. Actually, it was a phenomenal time at Bay Path University where many of us came together in solidarity, in history, and in unity. And as you saw from the tape today, this is work that just doesn't stop here. This is inspiration and encouragement and engagement that will continue throughout the year. So for everyone who participated, this is a great thank you to everybody, to everyone who will continue to engage with us over the next year, and even with these wonderful programs at Channel 15 here in West Springfield. This is a great opportunity to connect with the community. So hopefully you will stay engaged, look for new programs, and I want to thank everyone who helped us march into history simply by joining together to honor women, recognize women, and encourage women to move forth and excel in a time that needs our leadership. So thank you, and looking forward to other in-studio programs.